and welcome to this episode. Today we're interviewing Berrie Torgan-Randall. She is an author illustrator working from her home studio in Media, PA. In addition to being an author and illustrator, she is the illustrator coordinator for the Eastern Pennsylvania SCBWI. Berrie's illustrations have appeared in Ladybug magazine, and her debut early reader graphic novel, Bella and Blue, Bella Meets Blue, was published by the Little Press Publishing in 2022. Berrie recently signed a contract with the Little Press for the second book in the Bella and Blue series to launch in October of 2026, titled Bella and Blue ×2. In addition, Berrie's debut picture book, Just Ducky, A Friendship Takes Flight, was recently acquired by Cardinal Rule Press to be released in October of 2025. So this was a fun interview. I think we say that about every interview, but
we do. But the thing is, we don't know how, like, someone just from their website and their work, and then actually talking to people, and you learn, and
yeah,
you see their personality, and it's just,
yeah,
connections are good. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I didn't know she doesn't have an agent.
No, that was.
And she's had 2 books now, and a third, she has one that's been published and then 2 on the way, all still without an agent. So she's doing everything on her own, just submitting, which I think is inspirational. Like,
Yeah,
she's not letting not having an agent stop her.
Well, she even said she's not letting, that she felt like she didn't have a portfolio, looking at other people's portfolios.
Yeah.
Portfolio, it wasn't ready or the same.
Yeah.
And she didn't let any of that stop her. And so she's dropping some names here, Cardinal Rule Press and the Little Press, and those publishing houses accept an agented submission.
Well, Cardinal Rule Press has an open.
It's like once a year it opens.
Yeah, once a year. But the other one is a small press, and they take on agented submissions all the time. So yeah, that's really
scripts. Send your I don't know.
Also, I was impressed by the fact that she said she submitted her manuscript only, and didn't submit her dummy for the Cardinal Rule submission, open house submissions, and it got picked up. And then they're like, "Oh, you're an illustrator too." And
out of 1,000 manuscripts, so that's
yeah, that's really cool.
So, well, let's get into the interview.
Yeah. Hi, Berrie.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Berrie. Welcome to the show. Show, like,
yeah,
like Vegas,
like Vegas. So we were talking that I just got back from Vegas and got picked by all the magicians, because I think I really do believe in magic, so they can see it in my face. So we're excited to interview you, and I'm sorry we don't have an actual copy, but you have one that we were going to be holding up, I'm sure, of Bella and Blue.
Would you like to talk about your journey into publishing?
Sure. It's been a long one. I kind of say that it's kind of like learning a foreign language. That I started out in art school with very little knowledge. I didn't go to school for illustration. I went to school for video art, whichever that is. I switched my major a couple times. I did some surface pattern design, which I really loved. And that's kind of reflects in the patterns that I do in my book. And then I worked, I wasn't really getting jobs as an artist because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went back to school to be a children's librarian. So that's what my master's in, and that's kind of my, it was my bread and butter for a long time. And then I just went back to what I really love to do, which was art and illustrations. And I'm like, well, I might as well try it. And so I kind of threw my name in the hat, and I threw my name out there, and I made a website, and I went to different conferences at SCBWI and Rutgers one-on-one, and I took a couple highlights classes, and I just got really kind of my feet wet on what I needed to do. And it was very frustrating, just so much time and so many rejections, but finally I sent my portfolio out to a woman who was looking, she had just started, the Little Press had just started during the pandemic. And I was like, well, and it said on the website, it said something about fostering creatives from New Jersey. And I was like, well, I grew up in New Jersey. I don't live there now, but I might as well try. So I sent her some illustrations, and a couple months later, she said, yeah, let's talk. And that's how it happened. So it was a long journey, but it was also a fast journey once I got that that yes to go ahead. So that's my journey.
I'm glad that it is a long journey. I kind of like, I don't want to hear when it's a quick journey, because mine has been so
No,
slow.
exactly.
I want to hear the climb. And you mentioned the conference. I hate to say that they're kind of necessary, right? Like, it's at least maybe if not, I know they're all paid, and that kind of limits a lot of people to be able to do these things, but that's where you learn. That's where you learn the business of this, right? Because it's not just about drawing.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say that being in the children's publishing world, everybody's very polite with their rejections.
Yes.
And everybody's it seems like people are supportive and they want you to succeed. So yeah, and that's why I got involved with SCBWI to pay back a little bit, or pay it forward. And so now I'm the illustrator coordinator for Eastern PA.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
my joy as well.
Yeah. That's
That's
cool.
very cool.
I found my people.
You find your, you find your people. I do get that. I feel like, I think when in an episode we said, you can't do this alone. It's not an alone business. It's a yes, when you're working, you're alone, but it's you have to connect. It's the only way to actually find out the opportunities and find the people that will open doors for you. So you don't have an agent. You went straight to the publisher.
I've been searching for an agent for a long time, and actually I just found that going right to the publishers and the small presses seem to want you more, or not want you more, but they kind of have a little bit more flexibility for you, or openness for you. But every time that I went to a conference, I would meet with an agent, but nothing has, I've never gotten an offer yet. I'll say yet, because you never know. But been close, but not anything that has really panned out. So the two contracts that I've gotten, and I'll talk about the Cardinal Rule Press one later, when you ask me about my next project, is they were small publishers, and that's how I would love to have an agent, because I had lots of questions, but there was not really that opportunity for me.
So how did you handle your contract? Did you just wing it?
Well, my husband's an engineer, and he's very detailed oriented.
Oh,
So I
cool.
knew that if he looked over it, he would have lots of questions where I would be like, okay, it's my first contract, yay. So he had some questions, and the publisher at the Little Press, she is a former lawyer, so she kind of, the contract looked good. It looked like she had done her research, and so yeah, it was, but I still had questions, like, is this what I need to do? Is this what should I just wait for like one of the big publishers? And it was during COVID, so one of my daughters was living with us, and I discussed it with my husband and my daughter, and they're like, you've worked too hard not to do this, not to say yes, and here's somebody who's giving you an opportunity. So I was like, okay, that's it.
I think that's great. I mean, you've got 3 books now, well, 2 coming out,
Mhm.
and you don't even have an agent yet. So I think that's impressive.
I'm pretty persistent.
That's good to hear. So yeah, how do you handle like announcements in Publishers Weekly? They're taking care of that, the editors?
They took care of the small publishers do take care of that, and so I guess I don't know if they have, I don't know, not exactly sure how Publishers Weekly works, but there is a section for the Little Press and for Cardinal Wolves Press. So they do have that, and I think it has to do with the Independent Publishers Association. I think that's how that gets done, or I'm not exactly sure, but it happens.
Through magic.
Yeah.
Magic.
Through magic. Let me see. I wanted to ask you, because did you mean to start with graphic novels, or, because usually it's like picture books, and we'll tiptoe in picture book land for a while before we're brave enough, especially, because illustrations are so heavy in graphic novels. But I saw you shake your head, so no, it was a picture book.
No, actually, yeah, I mean, I love early reader graphic novels, like the Owl series. There's just so many that are coming out that are so cute. And as a librarian, those were very popular. I worked at
Yeah.
a school, and it couldn't get enough of graphic novels, and that collection was sort of building. So in order for me to do one, I had to do some research, and but it Michelle, who's a publisher, she asked me to she's a social emotional publisher, and she asked me to do a story about a girl and her monkey originally. And I said, well, I don't really believe in kids having monkeys as pets.
Oh, good.
Oh.
It's just a disaster story. They're funny, but no, So I told her I would write her a story about a girl and her dog, and that's how, or her therapy dog. And so that's how Bella and Blue came about. It was kind of, I have a child who suffers from anxiety. And so I wanted to put out there a book that, with ways of coping with anxiety. And I also love dogs too. That was another reason I wrote this book, to see if I could convince my husband to get another dog. That didn't work, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, they just she gave me freedom to do kind of what I wanted to do. And the whole graphic novel part, I just kind of studied the format of other graphic novels, and it was a lot of drawing of one character, and a lot of drawing. I have a whole chapter on ballet, where Bella tries ballet, and there's just lots of ballerinas that I had to draw over and over again. It's like, well, okay, this guy looks like this. Okay, he's got to look this way on profile. He's got to look that way. And it was intense, but I loved every single minute of it.
Oh,
Cool.
so you didn't approach them with a specific project, or you did, and they said,
You broke up a little bit there,
oh,
but
I say, so you didn't approach them with a specific project, or it was a different project, and they said, no, write me about a project about this?
yeah, she just sort of gave me the freedom to write a social emotional book, and she wanted it to be a graphic novel. I'm trying to think of the name, of course, is blanking on me, of who she gave me as an example. And it was Unicorn and Yeti was one of the books that she had.
Yeah.
Bird and Squirrel. So theirs were very much, had animal characters in it, and that
Those are like buddy
yeah,
comedy
like buddy stories.
or buddy
Yeah,
teens.
exactly.
Yeah.
And they were hysterical. They were so funny. So I don't know how, I guess because I had originally said that I would do a girl, and I would do a dog, and not a monkey. I think I just put a human character in there, and I had been writing cartoons for a while, just my own, to get practice. And so I had kind of these two characters that I really liked a lot. And so brother and sister character. So I kind of, and I have 3 kids, so I know kind of what the kids are like. And I was I'm also a librarian, so I know kind of how kids behave and how they act and what they kind of need. So that's what I wanted to do, was write a book about, a relationship between a girl and her dog who helps her out when she's nervous and upset and things like that.
Funny that you mentioned that because we looked in your website and in your Instagram and we saw that. So you took a class to learn how to do it, and that's what you had. Is it Lola and Louie?
Lola and Louie? Is that
Yeah,
it?
Lola and Louie. I did it
Yeah.
for years. I drew these two characters, a brother and sister character. And at first it was a whole little book, like one of those little mini books I used to make, and it had like 8 panels on it. And then I was doing that once a month for a while. And then it became like a seasonal thing, a 3-panel thing. So yeah, I don't know if I have.
That's good practice, though.
Yeah, it was
They might
great
show up.
practice.
They might show up in a book in the future then.
Yeah, I think so. I think the characters are really cute. So this was originally what they kind of look like. They were just like tiny and just like a little book of
Oh,
white
cool.
sketches.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, you're gonna have to log on and watch it.
Well, we can explain it. It's
You
just,
have
yeah, it's
Barry's
like,
holding this.
Yeah, this was like a back to school kind of thing. And so
I love that.
yeah,
yeah.
they're just these like little mini books that I put together, and then I would put
Oh,
one sheet of paper.
it's like a
and-
zine
Yeah.
or
Yeah, like a
zine.
zine and a
Yeah.
zine. Yeah, and
I never know how to
zine. Yeah, I never know how to say that one.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I started making them in color.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and
That's
print them
fun.
off.
actually adorable.
Yeah.
And then I would take those to conferences, and they had my website on it. So
Oh.
it was really fun to do. It was really fun to come
That
up
is
with
such a
creative
great idea.
ways.
You can hand those out instead of just handing out like bookmarks
Mhm.
or
Right,
stickers or yeah.
yeah. So she
Mhm.
stopped for a while. She's on hold.
A book. I hope they get a book.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, I hope so.
That's so
Yeah,
cute. I love that. Seeing all the work that you put before you even get that book deal. It's just like, because we do get a lot of questions like, you get discouraged. It's like you keep going, nothing happens and nothing happens until the day that something great happens.
right, exactly.
But people only see the success and they don't know all the work that goes in before you get there. So it's like kind of like keep going, keep going. Everybody says keep going, right? But it just kind of goes over over everybody's heads. I heard it many times, so keep going. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And if you love it, you're gonna do it anyway. You're gonna do it. Sometimes it's almost for your own pleasure, because I couldn't help myself. I had to create something. It was like years and years that I would be creative maybe by decorating my house or something, because I have, you're raising 3 kids. So their priorities came first. And so that little artist inside me was sort of suppressed for years and years and years, and denying that I was an artist and I can do this. And then, you got to let it blossom. You got to let it shine. You got to let it go.
that is absolutely our story.
Yeah, that's
failure.
that's our stories too.
Yeah.
That's it. You start doing the birthday parties and like you use your
Right.
in some way just to feed that need inside.
Mhm. Yeah.
Until you are brave enough to say, yeah, I can do this. And I should.
Right. Yeah.
That's really good. I'm glad that you're doing it.
Me too. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are doing it too.
I was excited to hear that, and you talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to pick your brain more because this is going to be good for everybody. You being a children's librarian, and I always eat that R, librarian. I'll say it correctly here, librarian. The patterns of what books do you see that the kids pick? Is it humor? Is it colorful covers? Graphic novels, and depending on the edges, what do you see that is you just cannot keep on the shelves?
Well, of course, the crayon books.
Which one?
The crayon books.
Crayon.
The day the crayons quit.
Oliver Jeffers.
And the book without pictures. They're just like silly books. And I think kids really, they need that silliness. And then when they get to it was like between 2nd and 3rd grade, they really want to read chapter books and they're not really ready for it. So that's where the graphic novels kind of come in, so that they could see those visuals and then figure out the words that go along with that. And then after that, it was like fairies no, remember, I worked in a girls' school, so
Oh,
I had, but I have a boy too, so, yeah, it was like very much the fairy books, and then when my son was little, it was like anything with mechanics and the books with the elephant, and he was explain, oh, it's Macaulay, is it Macaulay? The books where they explain everything, how things work, so very nonfiction
Is that one with pictures or
based.
illustrations?
What's that?
Is that one with photographs or illustrations?
It was illustrations, yeah,
Yeah.
how things work. Or any Doran Kinsley books that just explained nonfiction things, so that, and then the girls at school and also my girls were reading more of like the fantasy kind of things. And my son's journey was like the mechanical things, but then it turned into like steampunk. He loved reading books about steampunk. And so that had mechanical stuff in it too, or fantasy, science fiction, and things like that. So it's all very interesting. And of course, there's exceptions to those rules of, girls loving nonfiction and boys loving, fantasy and fairies and all these different fantastical kind of books. So it runs the gamut, but for the most part, it was that the kids wanted to read up, they wanted to read humor. They didn't necessarily want to read sad books until they got to about fourth or fifth grade, when they were starting to discover the world and a need for sad stories, or just stories that are just had a little more depth to them.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. Good knowledge. So now you know what to write.
You should write what you love. You shouldn't write to the, like what, you should also write things that kids love, but you should also write things that you want, that you love as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You have to, if you don't know the what you're writing about and you don't feel it, it's not going to come out good. But
Right.
there is something to be said about knowing the market and knowing audience,
Definitely.
and so that when you're writing, you can fit the boxes that will fill your shelves, because you have to
Yes.
know where that book goes.
Exactly.
Fits
You
in
have to write a
between
good
two
query
areas.
letter.
Yeah. So if it fits between two areas, it fits nowhere. It has to fit a specific shelf.
well, we noticed that you put some French words in Bella and Blue. And are you part French or?
Oh, no.
Oh,
No, I wrote that, the French part because my sister did the DNA test, and we're like 1% French. So I had, in the original story, I had the grandmother plays a big part in Bella's story, and she really helps Bella with her anxiety, but she loves anything French. And in the original story, she opens up an envelope and decides that she's 1% French, and therefore she has to do everything French.
oh.
That got cut. That part got cut, but the French part got kind of ingrained. And I love that that kids can learn just a little bit of a different language in a book. So that's why I put that in there. And yeah, I had these little recordings. They were, of course, they were on records, and they were with books. And they were like this little French poodle that was teaching French. I don't remember, they're long out of print, but I just remember getting a lot of joy out of these records and listening to them, and listening to the dog talking in French and the people talking in French. So, and of course, I went to the library all the time because my mom is also a librarian too. So I had big,
Oh, cool.
children's librarian influence, and have been surrounded by books my whole life, children's books especially.
Neat.
Did you have a Gigi in your life?
Did I have a what? A Gigi?
A Gigi.
Yeah, but it's funny because my Oma,
I recall her Oma too. One of our
yay.
grandmothers. Yeah.
So my Oma was very much her specialty was like, her house smelled like brown sugar. It smelled so baking cookies and sewing, and a lot of things that when I originally wrote the book, Gigi was kind of like my Oma, and she did all these things, but Michelle said she's boring and vanilla. So I was like, okay, gotta change her up. So now she loves hats and she's a little wacky, and that's fine. That's
Oh.
yeah.
She's fun. She's fun in the book.
Yeah.
I like my favorite, I have to say, just before we get to the next question, my favorite moment in the book is when the dad is giving the rules of what is not going to happen with the dog, and, and
Yeah.
he was like, I
And the
know that,
dog licks the face, of course.
yeah,
Yeah. No licking, and he gets like
Right,
because
right.
it is very much what happens. That that's always like, oh no, we don't want dogs in the house, and then you
Yeah.
see that they are the ones petting the dog and loving them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm. How do you do your illustrations? Are they digital or traditional or
So they are, I do, the thumbnail sketches all in pencil, and then I bring them up to Procreate, all right, transfer them to Procreate. And then I print them out again, and I do the like I'll do, I guess I'm talking about my next book, but for Bella and Blue, it was mostly Procreate. So it was sketches, and then it was the colors done in Procreate. And then I did some watercolor for some of the backgrounds. Yeah, so that's how I did Bella and Blue. For my next book, it's pastel and also Procreate.
oh cool.
That's
Yeah.
great. So for the next book, you're printing them once they're colored, and then you're adding pastel on top.
Yeah, I'm printing them out. Like if I have, trying to think. I'll show you one. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, love it. We love to see more.
So this is never before seen. So here's a pencil sketch from
Mhm.
my next book, and then I'll take that and I'll make them more I'll outline them in Procreate, and then I'll print them out on I just use this paper that's kind of like a graphic novel paper that's pretty thick, and then I'll do the pastel.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
Oh.
yeah, so that's my new technique to do it. But with we had so many illustrations in Bella that it was just
Yeah.
basically uh the thumbnail sketches, and then bringing it to Procreate, and then inking it in Procreate.
And then
Yeah.
you're going into Photoshop to put them together.
I used yeah, Photoshop, and then I also used InDesign to lay them out.
Wow, you did all the work.
Yeah, there's also a book designer too involved in that. But yeah, it was a lot of work, but I loved it. I loved my characters, and I just went for it and had to change it a bunch of times when the edits came back. But I mean, it's my story. It's my like baby, my first.
It's easier to change it when it's digital.
Yes, yeah, that's another thing too, is like it's easier to change it when it's digital. It is, but I do love, I love all sorts of mediums. I love painting. I love, watercolor. I love pastel. I love getting my hands dirty too. So, but with the book, you have to make your decisions on how you want it to look.
Yeah, depends on how your life is,
True. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
So I want to congratulate you on your second book of Bella that's coming out, and your upcoming debut picture book, which we just saw. That's the picture book,
Yay.
or is that?
Yeah, that's the picture book. So I just had to hand in the black and white sketches on Friday. So yeah, it's a story called Just Ducky, and it's about a girl who's obsessed with ducks and wants to wear her ducky inner tube to day camp the whole time.
Oh.
Just she can't stop talking, and she really bothers one other kid named Marvin, and Marvin's finally like stop talking about ducks. And so Ducky sort of has an identity crisis and she doesn't know what to do, but she decides that she knows she's not a duck, but she can swim like a duck. And come to find out, Marvin is afraid of the water. So she helps
Oh,
Marvin feel comfortable about being in the water and teaches him a little technique and gets him more comfortable, and come to find out he's quirky too and he loves rocks. And the two of them just kind of form a cute little friendship at the end. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, and
that's
there's a bunch of duck humor. There's so much duck humor in there. And yeah, I just love it. It's just fun. And you never, this one, talk about being quick. This one I wrote probably a year ago, or the idea sort of sparked maybe a year and a half ago. And then Cardinal Rule Press has an open submission time in February or March. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to put the manuscript in, and you never know what's going to happen with these things. And I was meeting with a friend who's my she edits my illustrations. I mean, not the illustrations, but this my
manuscripts.
manuscripts. Thank you. And we just spark off ideas with each other, or she helps me to spark ideas.
your critique.
And so I was meeting with her, and we were talking about Ducky and how I wanted to change it. And I got the email and I said, well, I guess this meeting's not happening. But the story was picked out of 1,000 entries. So
Oh,
it's like,
wow.
okay, there
Yeah.
you have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. And they didn't realize that I was an author illustrator. So then they were excited that I'm also an illustrator. And so I'll be their first author illustrator.
Wow.
I know.
Oh, so you only submitted the manuscript. You didn't submit a dummy for that. Oh, wow.
Wow.
I had a dummy
Yeah,
and I showed it to them later, but they were
very
like,
cool.
oh,
What
yeah,
a great way to get your foot in the door, too. Because, like,
yeah.
I think we're as illustrators, we're always really hung up on, oh, gotta have the dummy ready. And
Hmm.
you can't just submit the manuscript.
Yeah, yeah.
That
But
is,
yeah, we're visual people. So I
Yeah.
think it helps to have a dummy. I'm trying to write another story now where I'm like, I don't know the characters yet. I haven't drawn them out.
did Ducky come? You said it was a spark, an idea. Was it what gave you the idea? Was it a visual or just playing words? What did it?
Oh, for Ducky?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at our Eastern PA SCBWY does a conference at the Highlights Foundation. We're very fortunate to have that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so every spring, it's coming back now that, COVID is over, or COVID is to the side. And so the last couple of years, we've been able to do it at the Highlights Foundation. And so one of the invited agents, no, she was authors, was talking about shaking her tail feathers. I'm like, oh my God, I think I have a character. And I just started writing down ideas and just I was listening too. I was listening. But then I thought of all these like duck humor and just things that were just funny, and it's evolved so many different ways from that year. Or it must have been 2 years. It can't have just been 1.5 years. But anyway, it just kind of came about, and it was quicker than say some of my other books that are some other stories that I worked on for years and kind of had to table them or they're in a drawer, or yeah, they're in a drawer. Maybe they'll come out one day. I don't know. But
They're waiting in the
they're
sidelines.
waiting. They're waiting. They're definitely waiting. Yeah.
I have
You know,
noticed that when we put them in the drawer and they're waiting and then waiting, but the new ideas keep coming and you
right.
just don't have time to go back and dig those out.
Yeah, when am I gonna have time to go back to these stories that I worked years on? But those were kind of like practice books, I feel like. Like I was just sort of getting my feet wet, learning my foreign language here of how to write an illustrated picture book. So they don't flow as well as how I'm writing now, I think.
I understand that completely. That's what I'm feeling too. I'm like, I should go back to those. And then when you pull them, you're like, I think it would be more work to fix that than just come up with something new.
Exactly. Yeah. And the agents, I always they want more stories too. So I could go back to those, but I don't know. I wasn't too happy about them right now.
Yeah, because you have nothing to show an agent. Everything you have is already published. So it's like, sorry, I have nothing to give you. It's all published.
Right, exactly.
Which should make it easier not to find an agent, I think. Yeah, I think on the next one, on the next conference you go to, if you want one, but you seem to be doing fine without one.
I seem to be, but it would be nice to have somebody who's representing me so that I can, so that I know what I'm talking about, or they know what I'm talking about, and they can show it to other people too.
It
Yeah,
will open up more avenues because a lot
right,
of
right,
publishers will
exactly.
not take an agented manuscript. So, but you're doing great. So there's nothing, there's nothing to be shy about, for sure. I want to lean in your knowledge of school libraries. And
Sure.
what advice do you give authors about doing school visits? And are you doing any school visits?
I did do two. I did one last year for New York Edge, which I went to a school in Spanish Harlem, and they chose me, and it was really fun. I think that a lot of it was getting the kids engaged and not losing them and losing their attention. And there was I had a whole slide presentation, but there was they didn't have the smart board, or they didn't have different things I needed. So I had to like switch on a dime kind of thing. And I read some of my book, which I think it's a little hard to read as a read aloud because it's a graphic novel and you have those speech bubbles and you're not saying like Gigi said this and Bella said that. So it's a little hard to read that way, but we played because we're artists, I think we have a big advantage. And I played a drawing game with them and they love that. And I had the teachers have the kids bring in like a clipboard with the piece of paper and a pencil. And of course, sometimes those pencils poke in the other kid. But I as a teacher, as a librarian, I know some disciplinary, it's just say, put your pencil underneath your leg so that you're not poking the next person. Or give your pencil to the teacher so that until you're ready to use it. And we played a drawing game and we had a great day. And they really liked being creative. They really liked that I was drawing along with them. So I think as long as you have an interactive part of your school presentation, I think it's going to be a success. If you can play the guitar, which I can't, or you can sing, which I can't, or I guess I can sing, but I'm not that great a singer. If you can draw with them, you're gonna have the best time. Another time I did a reading night and I just had a great time. The kids' questions were great. Kids, they want to tell, they don't want to ask you questions, they just want to tell you things. And it's just so fun to hear them. And I love being around kids and I love hearing the funny things they say. And I think their brains are just so wonderful and young and free at that age. And I'd like to do more school visits. On my website, I have information about that, but it's a matter of getting the word out there to librarians and to PTAs and other organizations that are going to help to pay for your visit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like as a librarian, you probably have an in with that with other librarians.
Yeah, I do. And I know how to find those librarians. It's just a matter of time I do a newsletter. So in my newsletter, I'll say, I'll have those librarians in my area. And hopefully if I can figure this out, address it kind of personally. and say, please hire me. Please, I'd love to meet your students. But the teachers are, they're just so busy right now. So I think probably October, November is the time for me to really push getting my spring visits, getting my name there.
Oh, I am setting up school visits now. So that's really good to hear, because I was thinking at the beginning of the year when they are figuring out their budget is probably the right time. But
That's
there's
good time too.
a second time is October for the spring. Okay. So
Yeah.
are you in charge of hiring authors? Did you bring authors to your school?
I did, yeah. And we have a great independent bookstore called Children's Book World. And they called me and said, so and so is coming. Do you want to bring them in? And so that really worked out well. And I'm on that list too. But I haven't heard anything yet. But yeah, getting in touch with your local bookstore and they can really help you out too.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
And then also Pennsylvania, well, for us, you guys are in Maryland, am I correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So for us, the Pennsylvania School Librarians Association has a list of authors and illustrators who
Oh,
published. And so they sent out some information, and I had a library visit this summer, and the librarian's name was Berry.
oh,
I think she wanted to meet another person named Berry, so I got to go there, and we had a great time there too.
cool.
Yeah.
Your little logo should be a berry.
Yeah, exactly.
So what advice do you have for someone just starting out?
I would say don't give up. It's people told me that too, and there was a time when I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I did just too frustrating, and I'm getting nowhere. And it was either my husband or another artist, I'm not really sure, said, don't be discouraged, but be inspired by other people.
Oh,
Because people just had they had their stuff together. They had these beautiful portfolios. They had been published, and here I was with like this little, nothing portfolio, hardly had anything in it. They said, just be inspired. Be inspired. There's people that will support you. It's a long journey, but I'm not a young person anymore, but it 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 works. And if you stay with the system and you stay consistent and you stay persistent, you're probably going to get you're going to get somewhere. You're going to learn some lessons.
yeah, that's good advice.
It's absolutely good advice, and it is, yeah, it's that advice that you hear, and like I say, it doesn't, that's for somebody else. No, it's for you.
No,
It's for you. So keep at it, for sure. I'm glad that you got inspired, and yes, that's the whole comparison thing makes you feel, oh, you're not going to get there. That's for someone else who's ahead of you, better. That's no, we're all making it up as we go along.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Every book that you're writing and every book you're trying to figure it out, and it is different from the one that you're doing. Like you're saying, this one you're trying something new, also to keep things fresh, right, and to keep things exciting. And if you weren't doing this to get published, you would be doing it anyway, right?
Yeah, be doing it anyway.
You would be doing it anyway,
Yeah.
even for your kids or just to give it to a friend.
Right, exactly. My kids and my family and my friends get very nice cards.
Do you do your Christmas card yourself?
Yeah, I do. I do a postcard, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, I do a postcard, and it has a recipe. So here's a postcard with
Oh, wow.
Lola and
Yeah.
Lily, and it has on the back, it has a recipe for they're called hiking shoes. They're like something that my husband's family would take on every single hiking trip. So somebody had given me that advice once. I think I can't think of who it was who gave me that advice, like to do, she loved to cook. And so she said, why don't you do postcards that have recipes on it? So then, you can have these you can make a book for your family with the recipes, and they have an illustration to go along with it.
That's
That's
so
cool.
And
Yeah.
that way you're sure they don't throw away your card, your Christmas card.
Yeah.
If the recipe's good, yeah, they're not gonna throw away that card. They'll just put it in their recipe box or,
Right.
yeah.
I love that. That's a
Yeah.
good idea. I think I got one from you for Christmas with a banana bread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chocolate chip banana bread. I did one.
There you go.
I love that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I that was our last question, but I just want to say, because this is like we always give advice, have a card, have a postcard. So I know you have written to us for a while, and we were completely booked for that year. But then, serendipity, I saw you at the, and I'm not going to say it, is it Talbot?
Yeah, Talbot.
Yeah, thank you. It was just a book fair that I went, and you came down, I went up, and we met there. And when you said your name, I was like, it clicked, and then I got your card again, and I was like, okay, the next opening we have. So always have something physical you can give. Yeah, we are digital, but it's really a good idea to have a card, like something that you can give to someone. They'll remember you best. And it's just a good way to communicate, because it comes in your head and then it leaves out of the other ear. But when you have something physical, you can go back to it. So print some postcards or do something.
Especially, and don't be shy about handing things out. Just do it. Just
Absolutely.
leave them somewhere.
Don't be shy to go up to people and communicate and make connections, because that's really what this industry is about. So
Yeah.
take it if you are shy and just go up to someone and talk.
Right.
So, well, I think that's what we had for. Thank you so much. This is really
well. Is there anything else that you want to promote or talk about, or I think we already talked about your books, but if you want to.
Oh yeah, well, Just Ducky comes out October 2025, so it's like lickety split.
Oh, okay.
It's really
Yeah.
really fast. So that's coming out from Cardinal Rule Press, who've been lovely to work with, and it's nice to be working with a book designer and on a schedule, and it's great. And then 3 new chapters for Bella and Blue. We have a story about sleepover anxiety, and also math anxiety. That's a big one for me.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
the last one is fear of flying, because Bella and Gigi will be flying to France.
I was gonna say, are they going to France?
Yes, and I think it's time that I need to fly to France too, although I don't know what's gonna happen before it comes out. But yes, I think I need to do some market research on that one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do they have
that comes out October 2026.
Oh, okay.
Do they have translation rights?
What's that?
Do they have translation rights?
Yeah, so they do have foreign rights, but who knows who's going to pick it up. It would be great if the French picked it up, but who knows? I don't know exactly how that works. I think they send it to all these different foreign rights people, and then whoever picks it up, it will be published in different languages.
Sounds like a trip to Bologna.
I would love that too.
You could combine the two.
Yeah.
Bologna and then go to France.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds good to me.
Awesome. I think then that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that wraps it up.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
for joining us. And thank you for being persistent out there and telling us about these publishing houses that a lot of people don't know about, and we will be looking now.
Right. And CBWI has the big list.
Yes.
And there's articles out there that tell you about these different publishers who take submissions without an agent as well. So yeah, they're out there.
And maybe I'll see you at the conference maybe next spring. I don't know.
That's a fun one. I love that one.
It sounds fun. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to maybe someday. I will
yeah,
put the highlights.
yeah, definitely. It'll be April, I can't remember the date, but yeah. Look on the SCBWI
Yeah.
announcements, but
Yeah, our region doesn't even have, they're not doing one anymore since COVID.
that was one of my first ones I went to, was the Maryland, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We
do you
used to have a really big one, and
Mhm.
since they
2018.
tried to restart it after COVID and they didn't get enough
Interest.
yeah, not enough people are purchasing tickets, so they've
Oh,
just kind of stepped
yeah,
back.
Laurent was the invited
Yeah, yeah.
celebrity or the faculty.
He's a celebrity.
He is a celebrity. He totally is a celebrity.
Yeah.
And
But
one of my favorite illustrations that I did for his assignment is now, like, I get a lot of interest in that one. It's the girl with the umbrella, which is it's totally different than what I submitted, but I worked on that one. And
yeah, I love the rain on that one. We were just
yeah,
commenting on that.
so that was part of a assignment for him. So I've gotten a lot
Oh,
out of these different conferences, but yeah, you guys should come to Eastern PA for your conference. We're not that far.
yeah. And highlights, how can you pass that up?
Yeah,
That's a
it's
great
April. Let me
opportunity.
just see.
Well, if we must, we must.
I
Yes, exactly. Let me see if
Got a train right away.
let's
Yeah, it's
see.
not, I don't think it's that far.
April 25th to the 27th.
Cool.
Have a great time. And if you've been to highlights, it's the food is amazing, faculty is amazing. And it's just, maybe you'll stay in a haunted room like I did last year.
Oh, wait, you got to tell us about that.
What?
I love that story.
So supposedly there's the old farmhouse at highlights, and supposedly some of those rooms or the whole house is haunted. And so some of our staff stayed there. I was like, okay, well, I'm fine staying in a haunted house. And then that one night I came in and it was nighttime, and underneath my sheets was wet.
Oh,
What?
what?
It wasn't wet, it was like damp. It was damp. And so my water bottle's way over there. There's no way. This is just weird that it's damp. So I called my other team member over. I said, can you feel this? Because I know my sheets were not wet before I spent the day at the barn. And so she's like, yeah, that's weird. And so we looked at the ceiling to see if there was anything up on the ceiling, or if there was, some, my water bottle is way over there. So it was just weird. And then they tell you all about the different things that have happened in that room. So that's the farmhouse. If you don't,
Oh, I got to request that one.
You would.
I would. That's so fun.
yeah, I think I'm not going to stay there for next time, but I did have my experience.
That's plenty. As long as it doesn't follow you home, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I don't think it travels across. Wait, I didn't cross any water.
That's spooky.
Yeah, pretty spooky, but makes a great story. Who knows what happened with the damp sheets.
Sounds like a middle grade.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it does. And there's also another experience I had was a porcupine that was underneath the cabin eating the wood in the cabin.
Oh no.
So I told George about that, and he said, yeah, there's been some porcupine problems lately.
Wow. So you're really like it's really in the forest.
It's in the woods. Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That sounds lovely though. Yeah. I'm really looking forward. I've been thinking about doing highlights for a while now, but I just haven't.
Oh, you have to go. Come to Poconos. Come to our retreat.
That sounds really beautiful.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah. Sounds sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. This has been wonderful.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's been fun. Great meeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Berrie. Thanks for coming.
And thanks.
Bye.
Bye.